Welcome to the SBR NHL Double Play of the Day video for Tuesday, January 14th. Hopefully everybody's not hungover from the National Championship in college football last night as LSU wins the national title, ending another college football season. Hopefully you're all back in action and ready to go for this Tuesday, including looking at an NHL card that, as usual on Tuesday, has a large assortment of games to choose from. As always, joined by my colleague, my right-hand man here, Adam Booth, to give you our plays of the day for the Tuesday slate. Adam, we'll start with you. You are going to the matchup taking place between the Detroit Red Wings and the New York Islanders. We've got the Islanders, a big minus 270, 275 home favorite. Total 5.5, shaded to the under, courtesy of SBRodds.com. Make sure you're checking out SBRodds.com and using it on a daily basis to get the best line and price with each of your wagers. Islanders, after a rather poor performance last night by their standards in a rivalry head-to-head showdown against the New York Rangers, a game that had a lot of intensity to it. Multiple fights. There was a fracas near the end of the game. So there was definitely some bad blood between the Islanders and Rangers last night. Give the New York Rangers a lot of credit. Chased Semyon Varlamov from the net and win decisively 6-2 last night against the Islanders. And the Islanders are a team you don't usually see them give up a half dozen goals all that often in a game with their defensive mindset. But last night, not one of their better defensive games. They'll be looking to bounce back tonight here at home against a Detroit Red Wings team that they got absolutely clobbered by the Buffalo Sabres in their last game on Sunday, 5-1. Pretty ugly showing for the Red Wings, and this could be the ultimate elixir to cure what ailed the New York Islanders with their performance last night. So I think Adam believes that could indeed be the case as well. Adam, tell us why you like the Islanders tonight.
Yeah, well, I might as well start just sort of getting to a little bit of what you touched on there about the Rangers last night. One sort of spot that I have as one of my dozens of angles is a team heading, just for the one game road trip before heading home on a back-to-back. Sometimes we find that they're just not quite ready to go. Whatever it is about that scheduling spot, it's a very specific, particular niche angle, and it's not like I bet it blind or anything, but for me, it added value to the Rangers. Playing at home with a divisional rival, cross-city rival, really. So that was part of it. You mentioned that there was a number of fights right off the bat in the game, and it kind of carried on. It also sort of plays into the Islanders are getting into a slugfest when they're not that type of team. They're not a Philly team. They're not old Philly team. They're not a Bruins team. They don't want to be sort of roughhouse. It sounds silly to say it, but roughhousing with a very speedy Rangers team that will punish you on the counterattack if you've got guys in the box and you're playing a lot of 4-on-4. And that's what we saw from the Rangers. I'm not sure what the numbers were on the 4-on-4, but it seemed like every time I switched over to that, it was the Rangers getting a 2-on-1 or a breakdown with one guy left in front of the net by himself. And again, I mentioned it in the Play of the Day article. That is not Barry Trotz type teams. They pride themselves on good structure. So got to mention we have some gale force winds, I was told on the weather forecast yesterday, brushing through Ireland and England yesterday and today. So the train station is going right by the window, but I will try to mute my mic when Ian's talking. But anyway, so there was a number of breakdowns on the Islanders' part, and I was happy to see it. It was on the Rangers, so they punished them. We have a very different Detroit team now coming into the Coliseum, and I have no doubt that the Islanders will be focused. If I want to use that cliche thing, that often 6 regulation goals. I mean, this wasn't like they were constantly on a 3 versus 5, or it was a bad game for their team, their whole team, and playing against a Detroit team, they could punish them the same way. I mean, Detroit, it's been noted how much worse Howard has been than Bernier this year. I think he's got 2 wins in his last 20 starts. Or it doesn't really matter the specific degrees of how bad the Wings have been with him, we know this is a bottom feeder team. We know that they are going to struggle to put up wins. So catching a puck line play at even money today, very excited about that. I've seen it kind of shuffle down a little bit already since the article went up. But I think I had it at 55, 56% or something really nice. So don't be afraid to take a little bit of juice with it. I'm also on, since writing the article, I've also taken the Islanders team total over 3.5 and their alternate puck line at -2.5, which is not, I've only gotten involved in, a half dozen of those this year. And it's not to say that the Wings can't put up a fight here. But if the Islanders are, I guess, mentally over the shenanigans of last night, and Trotz sort of gave them, well, you want to make amends for what went on and how poorly we were in our defensive end, shut down the Wings team, limit them to maybe a goal, maybe two, but show the discrepancy in the capability of the teams. So that's my angle on the Islanders. I love to take dogs. If you've been following me this season, I do take a lot of big dogs. This isn't a spot where I see there as being value on the Wings. And I mean, if you do take the Wings, a money line play is all right, I guess. I think it's +230 or something up there. But I'm not overthinking this one, and I'm happy that the puck line number is where it is, because I think, and especially with a back-to-back loss or back-to-back game awful loss, it just sort of brings more recognition to the team that they were shit the previous night. And that is a very real occurrence in hockey. So, yeah, I mean, and again, if the Islanders don't cover the puck line, if they just win, I mean, that happens as well. We do see that occasionally, but I think for the reasons that I'm on the Islanders side, it should be quite a distinct goal discrepancy. So anyway, Ian, any thoughts on that one? Are you looking to add it today?
Yeah, no arguments. Definitely would. I don't know if I'll go ahead and pull the trigger, but I certainly would not make a case for Detroit. We know that it's been a rough go for them, to be honest. And the Sunday loss was really proof of just how bad things go at times for the Detroit Red Wings. That's not a world beater, the Buffalo Sabres, and they just basically walked into the pizza box there in Little Caesars Arena and just dominated this Detroit Wings team from start to finish with that 5-1 win. There's a couple of teams that really teams that weren't happy with their performance last night that are playing again tonight. The Islanders are certainly one, and Boston's the other. Boston just absolutely let a big lead get away from them against the Philadelphia Flyers last night, and they end up losing 6-5 in a shootout. Bruce Cassidy hasn't often resorted to we're going to reprimand the players publicly after a bad game. He hasn't really done that a whole lot, but he did it last night. He didn't hold back. We were awful with the puck, and Boston is back in action tonight against Columbus. So just like with the Islanders, going to be interesting to see what we get from them as well in a bounce back spot after a really bad loss from their standards, considering they had a multiple goal lead against the Flyers last night, couldn't hang on to it. So Boston's game, by the way, I did consider them for play of the day. I do like them against Columbus here, even though it's a back-to-back for the Bruins. Certainly lean to them. I wouldn't argue with the Islanders. So just a couple of teams that, even though they played last night, and you sometimes are a little bit cautious when you're looking to back a team on the second back-to-backs, you should get focused and intense games from the Bruins and the Islanders, considering what happened last night.
Yeah, well, especially with Jackets returning from a Western trip, where they had a lot of success. We usually say really good road trip, 4 games plus. Look for that first game back where they're maybe not as good to go. But yeah, anyway, let's look at your Yotes Sharks play tonight.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite teams. I mean, I've made no secret about the fact I like Arizona quite a bit. Last year, I backed them several times. This year, I have as well. More so on the road than at home, and I've noted that. Sometimes I don't like laying a price with Arizona at home. I'm going to make an exception tonight as they host the San Jose Sharks. Arizona is about -138 to -140. Home favorites in this game, 5.5. Under to the under, -135 in terms of the total for this game. And Arizona is trying to avoid what would be a season high 4-game losing streak if they lose tonight against the San Jose Sharks. They have not lost 4 games in a row this entire NHL season, and that's basically what's on the line tonight. If they lose tonight, that'll be the first time they've lost 4 straight. You look at Arizona, and yes, they've lost 3 in a row. This pretty good team still. You also have to remember they're without their top 2 goalies, Darcy Kemper and Antti Raanta. So there's some transition going on with Aiden Hill, who's going to get the majority of this moving forward. And he really hasn't been all that bad. And if you look at some of the goals that have went in against him the last few games he's been in the net, some bad bounces, deflections, tip-ins, that kind of stuff. Nothing that you could really directly fault him for. I don't think he's been bad. Just some bad breaks, bad puck luck. I don't think defensively they've been quite as sharp the last few games, Arizona, but some bad luck as well, bad bounces of the puck, and that's going to happen on any given night to any team. And I think certainly Arizona's been a victim of some bad puck luck and bad fortune in that regard the last few games. And you look at the losses. There's no shame in any of them. Okay, they lost to a red-hot surging Lightning team. Okay, nothing wrong with that, the way Tampa's been going. They lost to Carolina in Carolina. Carolina's a very good home team. No real shame there. And they lost to a Pittsburgh team that all they've done without Sidney Crosby is no matter. We keep winning games. No big deal. So really, is there a bad loss in that mix? I don't think so. Okay, San Jose is given you a couple of wins in a row. Let's give them a little bit of credit for that. They've back-to-back wins against Columbus and Dallas, but Columbus is injury-riddled with a backup goalie. And Dallas, you always have a chance to beat Dallas, who are a team, but you always have a chance to beat Dallas when they're offensively challenged the way the Stars are. And that's the thing. Dallas is going to play a lot of low-scoring games. They're going to win a lot of low-scoring one-goal games. Unfortunately for them, they came up on the losing end of that. You have to remember, too, San Jose, even with these 2 wins in a row, they're still a banged-up hockey team. I mean, Logan Couture out for the long-term absence due to injury is a big deal. There's talk Brent Burns may not suit up tonight. He got injured in the last game against Dallas. Barclay Goodrow has got the flu. In fact, there's a little bit of an illness going around San Jose just a little bit as they make this road trip to Arizona. And then you look at their road record, just absolutely brutal. If you want to look at why San Jose has had a miserable season, it's because they just haven't been any good on the road this year. San Jose 8-14 on the road. They've actually above 500, if you believe it, home team, the San Jose Sharks, but on the road just 8-14. I think it's a good bounce back spot for Arizona, even with them being down to Aiden Hill, their third goalie. And I think he's going to be helped, too, by Nicholas Hjalmarsson's return on the blue line. He returned in the last game against Pittsburgh. That's absolutely, I think, one of, if not their best shutdown defenseman on this Arizona team. I mean, he is very good defensively. He improves them significantly now that he's back from injury on the blue line and in the defensive zone. He's always a leading shot blocker on every team he plays for, year in and year out, going back to all the years he played with the Chicago Blackhawks and when they were winning Stanley Cups. You'd be seeing this guy just, on the penalty kill, great in the defensive zone, good positioning, willing to block shots anytime. So you get that kind of big-time defensive presence back in the lineup now for Rick Tocchet and this Arizona team. Certainly think that's going to help the team, and it's also going to help this young goalie, Aiden Hill. He's not going to feel like, hey, I'm going to get some better, sturdier play in front of me. I'm not going to be always placed in a position where I'm going to have to steal games left and right for this team because we're a better defensive team with Hjalmarsson. Quotes I'm reading from Arizona are good. They're not, panicking or anything over the 3-game losing streak. They say, we've been able to stop these losing streaks before they balloon, and that's proof. I mean, you look at the last 2 times Arizona's been off a 3-game losing streak, and look who they played, by the way, in these games. The last time they were on a 0-3 losing or a 3-game losing streak, and we're looking to snap it, they played St. Louis, pretty good team. Only the defending Stanley Cup champions, and they won that game. The other time they were on a 3-game losing streak earlier this season, they played the Washington Capitals. That's a pretty good hockey team, and they won that game to snap a 3-game losing streak. So basically the 2 previous times Arizona entered a game having lost 3 games in a row, they ended the losing streak. This is the same situation they're in tonight, trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. They've yet to lose 4 in a row. It's a beatable San Jose team that hasn't been very good on the road. Even at minus 138, you could quibble that the price is a fair one, and I would agree with that. It's not like you're getting a bargain here on the Coyotes. They are the better of these 2 teams, but I like the situation. I like the way it matches up for them. I still don't buy San Jose's last 2 wins being any sign of a significant long-term turnaround, especially without Logan Couture indefinitely due to injury. So I think that's a great situation, bounce back spot for the Coyotes. We'll lay the $1.38 with Arizona tonight for my play of the day.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Just because the Sharks, have been better in January, we mentioned it. Even in their losses to the Caps and Blues, put up a fight. Those are two, the Cup champions 2019 and 2018. Good teams again this year, both at the top of their respective. Well, I mean, the Blues are at the top of the league right now, and Washington's right up there, second, third, somewhere in there too. So it's, I don't know, it's tricky. I've got the line kind of where it's meant to be. Let me just double check that. Yeah, I've got it at 55-45 in the Yotes' favor. So it's kind of, maybe 2% of value on the Sharks. But again, especially as you mentioned, the line is not short because anyone's overrating the Coyotes here. They are a better team this season. And off 3 straight losses back home now. I mean, 2 of those against good Eastern teams in Carolina and Tampa, but getting shut out. And that's a bit of a concern. I mean, the Sharks have been playing better defense. I'm undecided on this one, Ian. Normally, not normally, but a lot of the time I do like your looks right off the bat. This one, I've got to say I'm a bit tentative, but I'm not going to say the Sharks are the play. It's not like I see it that way. Absolutely. So I'm going to take another look. That's the last game on the card, so I'll be down there in a little while. But I like the reasons you laid out, and I think that's a good argument. So
yeah, I like the spot. It's definitely for a team that I think is the better team in this matchup, and that's Arizona. And again, San Jose on the road's been brutal. And the key for Arizona is getting the first goal has been a problem for Arizona lately during this losing streak. They've let the other team come out, get the first goal, dictate terms, get that first goal. And there's talk they need to get the first goal tonight. They're talking about it, so they're aware of it. They want to get the first goal. And San Jose's a front-running team. When they've been winning these games lately, they've gotten the first goal. They felt comfortable. When things have gone wrong and you've punched San Jose in the mouth, that's when they collapse. That's when things fall apart. Look at the Washington game. 4-2, they looked like they had that game in the bag. 4-3, 4-4, 5-4, just an epic collapse. When something bad happens to San Jose, that mental psyche of theirs can still sometimes be a little bit fragile. And that's, I think, the key for Arizona. Get that first goal, get San Jose second-guessing themselves, which is something that other teams have proven is not all that hard to do. So I just like the situation. Like I say, the price is there's no bargain. The price is where it should be. But I do like Arizona in this spot, minus 138. And again, I was either that or Chicago or Boston. Those were the other two considerations me tonight for play of the day. Chicago's obviously struggling. Chicago's playing a little bit better at least. And Chicago's played good head-to-head against Ottawa. But I've just decided Arizona was a bit stronger.
Well, I mean, those defensemen are still out for the Sens, right? So, I mean, you've been riding that over for quite a while, and I know.
Well, they're starting to get healthier. It looks like
okay. All right.
Borowiecki might be back as well tonight. So this is going to be about as healthy a blue line as Ottawa's had in quite some time. So
yeah, it's just funny the way hockey lines work. You've got one of the worst teams. I think they were projected to be last or second last by point totals this year in the midst of 7-game losing streak, and they're a slight favorite, against another not great, non-playoff team in Chicago, who has still, you'd say, been better overall. I've seen more tickets come in on the Hawks. I think that's a natural play here. But I, again, have the slight value to the Sens, which I always hate when stuff like that happens, but it's a tricky one. So I definitely would prefer your Arizona play over taking a side in Ottawa, Chicago, I think there, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, that's it.
All right, good stuff. And before we wrap up the show, I just want to, I don't bet against Pittsburgh anymore. I'm serious. I mean, people I know are talking about Minnesota and Pittsburgh. Every time I bet against Pittsburgh, it hasn't worked out well. And I finally got that through my thick skull about a month ago, and I've been better off, just either it's, I look at a Pittsburgh game, if you got a reason to bet against them, don't do it. is what I've told myself, and that's exactly what I've done. And it's
the last.
worked out.
I mean, sorry, we're running out of time here, but I'm just going to add when the Pens played the Wild, it was like the first week of the season. I had value on the Wild at home. They get smacked 7-2, and
Yes.
then or 7-3 or something. It was really, really bad. And then the Wild, I think, went on to win a number of games at home after that. But it was just like, okay, well, this is Pittsburgh, being Pittsburgh, and just. But I've got a future on them to win their division, so I'm happy with their recent little run here.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been remarkable what they've done. And now Sidney Crosby's just days away from returning. So things are about to get even better for the Pittsburgh Penguins. All right, that's going to wrap up the show. Adams, I got the New York Islanders -1.5 plus 100. I am on Arizona -138 against San Jose. Those are our plays of the day for Tuesday, January 14th. That'll wrap up our show for today. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. We will be back with you on Thursday at 15 a.m. Eastern Time for the next edition of the SBR Double Play of the Day video. For Adam Booth, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday. Good luck on the ice, and we'll see you again on Thursday.